I'm Chris Lewis, firefighter for the Lakeville Fire Department, and welcome to another edition of On Call. The goal of this program is to educate and inform the citizens of Lakeville about how their all-volunteer fire department trains in response to emergencies. Let's take a look at what's coming up on this edition of On Call. We visit some night training at Able and learn how the department is using this new facility. Next, Fire Chief Mike Meyer talks about recreational fires and what you need to know about burning in Lakeville. In Ask the Firefighter, Joe Pannkuk from Station 1 answers a viewer question about lights in an intersection. I will get you caught up on the latest happenings around the fire department, and Spot the Fire Dog checks out all different types of hoses on a fire truck. The cities of Apple Valley, Burnsville, Lakeville, and Eagan have shared a training site in Burnsville since the 1980s. Recently, an all-new facility was built to meet the needs of today's firefighters. This shared resource is instrumental in keeping area departments up to date on modern practices when we respond to incidents. Tonight we're here at Able Training Facility in Burnsville, and joining me is Captain 2 Tabor Aiken. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome, Chris. Thank you.
What are we doing at training tonight?
Today we're working on two-truck attack. So typically, when we train at Able, we frequently work on live burn. So we'll build a fire, let it burn, and then send crews in to navigate and find it, put it out, and do all of the associated pieces with a typical structure fire approach. Tonight, we've got smoke in the structure, but we're a little more focused on two-truck attack. And so for Lakeville, two-truck attack means that the first engine on scene of a fire would pull attack lines off the truck, go in and get after the fire. Look for victims, any other associated immediate tasks that have to be taken care of. And then the second truck, in this case the two-truck attack, the second truck is going to connect to a hydrant and feed that first truck water off that hydrant. So get that water supply, get them set up so they can continue operations. But it really makes that first truck as efficient as possible on that fire attack, on that potential search if there's a victim in the structure.
Okay, so how would that be, what were we doing before that we needed to make a change, or that we did make a change?
Yeah, typically what we were doing before was the first truck in would make their own water supply, so they'd have a firefighter get off, pull a large diameter hose, for us that's a 5-inch hose, connect that to the hydrant, the truck would advance, park basically where it was going to be working for the fire, get water going into the truck, then the crews would pull hose lines and go in.
Okay.
So we've essentially taken out that first step, so we get the truck up into position, we have firefighters pull attack lines, move into the structure and start working on that fire as quickly as possible.
Okay.
That's the way we're training. It's not always the way we'll respond, because part of it will depend on who's coming next. Do we have another truck already on the road? We have someone that can be that second truck, that second attack to assist, or do we need to have the first truck do all of the work in order to be able to continue working for a little while?
Okay, this is all part of that new Blue Card program that we're instituting, is that correct?
It's a little bit of a part of it. Blue Card really focuses on the command structure. So second truck attack, or two-truck attack, excuse me, is a protocol that we're using. Apple Valley uses a similar approach that we're working with. Blue Card is a little bit larger. Burnsville uses Blue Card, Eagan, and it's more of a command structure and a little bit more a way of thinking about how we're going to run things on the fire scene.
Okay, so can you explain to me really quickly, how are we doing this here with your station and my station working together tonight?
Sure.
Like, run us through a scenario.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So we're working with two stations, Station 2 and Station 3, like you said. We've been doing this throughout Lakeville as we train a pair of stations together, because the likelihood of us working alone is not very high, and the likelihood of us working together is very high, so it makes sense to train together. And so then what we're doing here tonight is simulating a fire. We have 50-gallon drums inside the building that are filled with straw and some wood pallets. We're getting them up, burning a little bit, but mostly just smoldering, so we get a lot of smoke, make it hard to get in there for the crews to navigate. And then what we're doing is bringing in trucks and staging them. There's an officer who's in command, and they're driving where those trucks are going, where they're being placed, and then what's happening. So for example, the first truck in, let's say it's engine 3, is going to come in. In this particular case, we're numbering the building around the side. So when we're talking about the front of the building, we're calling it the A side or the alpha side. So they would come in, go to the alpha side of the structure, which is typically the front of a building, or the address side, park the apparatus there, pull attack lines and advance in. The second engine, in this case, let's say it's engine 2, would then come in, pull a hydrant line, connect that to engine 3, so now engine 3 has a dedicated water source, and then they would move and then dedicate their crews to wherever command wants them next. So once engine 3's got its own water supply, the crew off engine 2 can be deployed elsewhere in the structure. They might be a backup team, they might start a search somewhere else in the building, they might put up a ladder. It depends on what the call is, what they might be doing. So tonight we're kind of doing all of it.
So really tonight we're doing everything outside the building is what we're training on.
That's the primary focus of the training tonight, is what's outside. We're still sending crews in and still taking advantage of the fact that we have the opportunity to use this burn building. So we've got both floors filled with smoke. We have crews going in and doing a search. We have what we call Rescue Randy, who's just a mannequin in there for the crews to find. So they're actually doing a search. We would call that a primary search. So they're doing a check to make sure there's no one in there. If there is, they're going in and finding that person, and then they'd be bringing them out. In this case, Rescue Randy would be brought out.
All right, Tabor, so now normally on a structure fire, we have way more than just 2 trucks, and this is called a 2-truck attack training. What are we doing with all these extra trucks?
So the process that we're working on, you're right, is called 2-truck attack, and it just addresses sort of our initial attack that comes in. So again, go back to that scenario we talked about. Engine 3's first truck in, they're pulling the attack lines, they're going in. Engine 2 is feeding them water supply. In Lakeville, typically for a structure fire, 3 stations are going to get paged out. So you're going to have, up to, at least maybe 6 trucks on the road coming in. So this just addresses those first 2 trucks. Command is going to decide where the next trucks go. So whoever the officer is, or whoever's in command, whoever's running the scene, is going to manage those next arriving pieces of apparatus and crews. They may come in and be assigned to work and given a job to do, to assist. A lot of it will depend on how many firefighters are on those trucks that are coming in. If they have large crews of 6 to 7 firefighters, the next arriving trucks may go into what we call level 1 staging, which basically means they're sitting on the truck waiting to do some work. And that allows us to rotate those crews. One of the pieces that the blue card model that we're working with suggests or drives officers to think about is, how many firefighters do you need to do the work, and how many firefighters are you going to need to do the work, so that you have that ready resource there and you're not asking for people to come and not having them readily available. If someone needs help, you want to make sure you've got those people there to do that, and not having to say, can you asking dispatch to send another station or page out another city for assistance. That basically they're waiting kind of in the wings, if you will. They're sitting in a truck, they're staged, that resource is ready for you to deploy as soon as you need it.
So we're not only training just on the water supply, but we're also training people on how to sit and wait for orders instead of everybody coming and swarming the scene and causing more chaos, things like that, right?
Yeah, which, as you probably know, is hard for firefighters to do. We don't like to sit still.
Right.
We want to get out, we want to assist, we want to help, we want to resolve the problem, whatever it is, and it's tough to sit on a truck and wait while you know someone else is doing work. But it makes a lot of sense. It keeps that ready reserve there, and then you can deploy them and rotate out the firefighters who've been doing work, get them some rest. With the winter we just had, it's a perfect example because it's cold or frigid, and so getting them into a warm environment, letting them warm up, regroup, get some water, cool down a little bit, and then rotate back in when they're ready. And you're never wearing people out, you're never exhausting people, you're keeping them hopefully in their prime and that they're ready to go.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks for describing our 2-truck attack training and being here tonight.
Thanks for having me on the program.
Thank you. When we come back, Fire Chief Mike Meyer talks about recreational fires here in Lakeville.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. what I've always wanted to be.
Hi, I'm Fire Chief Mike Meyer. Welcome to another edition of Chief Corner. Today we're going to talk about rec fires in the city of Lakeville. Recreation fires are allowed in the city of Lakeville when the following provisions are followed. The fire is contained in a 3x3x3 area. This can be in the ground, on the ground, or in a freestanding, pre-manufactured fireplace. Fire extinguishing equipment should be readily available. This can be an extinguisher, garden hose, or sand. Only clean burning wood and charcoal. You may not burn leaves, brush, grass, tree branches, building materials, or rubbish. The fire is at least 25 feet from any combustible structure that's a house, deck, fence, or a shed. Adult supervision is required while having a recreational fire. All fires must be extinguished by midnight and are not allowed if winds are exceeding 15 miles an hour. If anyone calls and complains about smoke, you will be asked to extinguish the fire, and all fires are subject to discontinuance by the fire or police department. And if we are in a red flag from Minnesota DNR, no recreation fires are allowed, and we'll keep that posted on our Facebook page or the city website. However, please be mindful that high winds and dry conditions require extra attention and safety for even the smallest fires. If in doubt, put it out. If you use common sense and follow these rules, you should have no issues with your rec fire. But if you do have any questions, please contact us at the Lakeville Fire Department, 952-985-4700.
Thanks, Chief. Here are the details of some of the calls and other activities happening around Lakeville Fire Department. As many of you may have heard or felt, in the beginning of March, LFD responded to an explosion on the north side of the city. A food truck parked in a residential neighborhood exploded, causing damage to many nearby houses. Upon arrival, LFD assisted the police and made sure there was no extension of fire. Luckily, there were no major injuries, and the case is still under investigation. Back when we had snow still on the ground, crews were called out to a vehicle fire at a business near Cedar and County Road 46. When first responders arrived, they found this truck with the front end burning. Firefighters worked quickly to put out the fire and got it out right when it was spreading to the cargo area of the truck. Luckily, the fire did not get to the back of the truck, as a couple gas cylinders were loaded right before the truck caught on fire. The cause of the fire was some type of mechanical failure in the engine compartment. About a week later, LFD was called for mutual aid for a house fire in Elko, Newmarket. Firefighters from Station 1 and 4 responded to the call, with Ladder 1 attacking the fire from above. This is a great example of neighboring departments assisting each other when there is a major incident in our community. A few days later, firefighters responded to a home on Gannon Way on a report of a garage on fire. Luckily for this homeowner, a firefighter lived across the street and ran over with a fire extinguisher and put the fire out before it spread to the rest of the structure. When crews arrived, they checked over everything to confirm the fire was out. The cause of this fire was careless disposal of cigarettes near the garage. LFD responded to another garage fire in mid-March. The center of the back of the garage was on fire. Crews quickly got the fire under control and prevented it from spreading to the rest of the structure. Upon investigation, it turned out that the homeowner installed a burning barrel to heat the garage, but did not follow building codes or get a permit to install such a device. LFD responds to multi-vehicle crashes throughout the year. Some are just fender benders, yet some require extrication of the passengers. A few weeks ago, LFD got the call about a head-on crash in front of All Saints Church. Luckily, there were no serious injuries to report. Everyone was able to get out of their vehicles and get checked out by responding paramedics. Crews cleaned up the scene and waited until the cars could be removed. LFD has responded to a few grass fires this spring. Nothing too large or that has caused serious damage besides some burnt grass. And that's just some of the things happening around the fire department.
Son, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell got to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Hi, I'm Joe Pannkuk, a firefighter out of Station 1, and today's Ask the Firefighter question comes from Tony, and he asks, do traffic lights really change for fire trucks and other emergency vehicles? Thanks for your question, Tony. Yes, fire trucks and other emergency vehicles are able to change traffic lights so they can quickly and safely make it through the intersection. The name that is commonly used is Opticom, which is really a brand name for a system that was produced by 3M. The more generic term is traffic signal preemption, and it's installed at all intersections in Dakota County. Now, there are different manufacturers and ways to control the lights, but all must meet common guidelines so they can work together. Here in Lakeville, we use a line of sight method. On all emergency vehicles, there is an emitter that flashes a light at a specific rate. Sensors at or near the intersection detect this flashing light and is able to change the signal lights to green for the oncoming vehicle. Another component of the system are lights mounted at the intersection. The purpose for these lights is to identify who has priority and to alert all drivers that an emergency vehicle is approaching. If the light is flashing, the responding vehicle is coming from a different direction. A solid light indicates that the vehicle is approaching from that direction, and it should have a green light. These lights are also helpful when two or more emergency vehicles approach an intersection at the same time. If this would happen, only one of the vehicles will get the solid light. So when you see these lights at an intersection turned on, be alert and watch for those emergency vehicles. Thanks for your question, Tony. If you have a question for Ask the Firefighter, use the contact information on your screen.
Everyone, it is I, Spot the Fire Dog, because I like to spot and put out the fires. Hey, I'm here today at station number 4, and I'm going to meet Firefighter Melissa because I'm curious about all the different sizes and colors of hoses that they have on fire trucks. So I'm going to head this way. It's pretty noisy in here. She must be over here. Melissa! Hey, Melissa! Melissa, where are you? I can't figure this out. I was supposed to meet Firefighter Melissa. No!
Hey, Spot!
Hey, there you are. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Hey,
Good.
I need to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
I was at the fire station a couple weeks ago, and I saw all of these different colored hoses, and I went, why do they have different colored hoses? So could you help me out with this?
Sure, I sure can. Well, actually, there is no difference between the colors of the hoses.
Really? You
Yeah.
mean the yellow one isn't for when it's sunny, and the brown one isn't for when it's nighttime?
Nope, they all do the same thing. They just bring us water. You can see here these different labels on above the hoses. They actually correspond to the actual pump panel here,
Okay.
where they're displayed. So sometimes they do match up, where you can see the yellow line here actually does have a yellow hose, and the red line has a red hose, but that's not necessarily always the case. Sometimes they can get switched up, but the hoses do all the same thing regardless of color.
You know, that's what I was going to ask you. What happens if some knucklehead switches those? Is there a way to make sure that when you pull that handle, that you're actually pulling the right hose here?
Yep, the engineer's responsibility to always check and make sure which line is pulled before they actually discharge the water.
Very good. Now, what size is this hose?
This is an 1 3/4 hose.
All right. And now, how big is like your garden hose you have at home?
Probably like a 3/4 inch to an inch garden hose. Yep, so it's a little bit bigger.
All right. Now, what would you primarily use these hoses for? What type of fires?
We use these for car fires and for structure fires.
Wow. Very good. Now, you know, there's some other stuff over here I'm just kind of curious about.
Sure.
You've got this big intake.
This guy?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
very huge,
It is
very
big.
enormous. Could you put that little hose on this thing here?
Well, this is actually for a 5-inch hose. This comes from the hydrant. So this feeds the truck full of water from the hydrant. from the
You
city.
guys have 5-inch hoses?
We do, yeah.
Oh, now is that as big as those hoses get?
Yep, that's as big as our hoses get, 5-inch, yep.
Very good. Now, this is very impressive, all of these buttons and levers and things, but what's that one thing up there? It says something about foam?
Oh,
Do you guys
yes.
have tubby parties in here?
We do, we have bath bubble parties.
Oh, pretty exciting. What do you use the bath bubble parties for? What type of
Those
fires?
are for car fires. So sometimes they're electrical components or mercury perhaps inside vehicle fires, and we don't want to necessarily put just water on them. We want to add foam so we don't get an electrical discharge or anything. So we've got this big guy here.
Oh, boy.
This is called a piercing nozzle.
Yowza.
And
I think
we
I
can-
saw that at the vet last time I was there.
Oh, that's unfortunate for you.
Very painful, too.
Yeah, this is called a piercing nozzle. So we can throw this right inside the front of the car.
Yeah?
And it sits and sprays water right into the engine of the vehicle.
Well, now where does the water come out of?
It comes out. You see these holes at the end here?
Oh, look at that. Itty bitty teeny tiny holes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of almost like a sprinkler when that
It
goes
is.
in.
It's like a shower. Yep. It sprays everywhere.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, is there some other hoses that you could show me, Melissa?
Sure. You want to see some in the back and on top?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, let's go. Let's see. Come on, I bet I'll beat you.
All right.
Hey, Melissa! Melissa, where'd you go? I know I beat her out here, and then it was... Whoa!
Here I am.
How'd you get up there so fast?
I'm pretty quick.
You are very quick. Must be those cool shoes you're wearing.
Yeah, sure it is.
Hey, are you wearing Captain America socks?
Yeah,
Here,
I am.
pull that one up. Let's see. Is that standard issue for
It is,
firefighters?
actually. Well, only for the cool ones.
Oh, very good. You are cool.
Yeah,
You
thanks.
are cool. Hey, Melissa, look at all these other hoses, but hey, look at this thing. This really interests me. It's a Blitz Fire. What is a Blitz Fire, and why do you have it?
That is, that actually sprays quite a bit of water, and it actually can stand on its own on the ground. So we just need one man to man it, set it up, and then it sits and sprays water in one direction for as long as you need it to.
Very good. Now, we are talking about the size of the hoses. What size hoses are these here?
This is a 2.5 inch, and this is what the Blitz would be connected to as well. So all the hoses in these are all pre-connected.
Okay.
So when we get to the fire, we just pull the hose out. It's already connected to the truck, and
Wow.
we fill it with water, and it's ready to go.
And how many yards or feet of hose do you have in there, this orange stuff?
There should be 300 feet.
Whoa, very good. And hey, is there something else hidden right here?
Yep, this is the 5-inch here.
Oh, look at that. I love the 5-inch hose.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Now I'm looking at the side. Do you call that like a coupler? How does
coupling.
that get attached? I mean, is it automatic? Do you wish it gets connected, or do you have a big wrench to get it connected?
Yep, you can use this. Doesn't need a wrench here, but these parts do. So you can connect this to the hydrant with the wrenches, and this is a coupling. Yep, like you were saying. So this goes right to the hydrant, and that's where we get our water supply.
Very good. Now, both of these hoses, why don't you tell me, when do you use these hoses again? What would you use the big 5-inch for?
The big 5-inch connects to the hydrant that are on the city streets and brings the water to the truck.
Oh, very
The
good.
2.5-inch, we like to say big fire, big water. So anytime that there's a very big fire, structure fire, we want to use the 2.5-inch because we want a lot of water to put it out.
Can I say that same to the camera?
You sure can.
Okay, here we go. Big fire, I got a water. I've got a, how does it go again?
Big fire, big water.
Big fire, big water. I'll get it by the end of the thing.
Okay.
Can we see some more hoses, Melissa?
Sure, let's go.
All right, bring Captain America socks this way.
Okay.
Hey, well, Melissa, I want to thank you so much for helping me out today. And look at this. This is the new Leather 4, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, this is really cool in the front here, but, you know, this is kind of a strange looking thing in the front. What if somebody pulls up and they need to, you know, put out the fire? I'm sure there's nothing in the front here to help with that, is there?
Aha, there's a secret compartment.
No, you're
Yes.
kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
How secret is it?
I know.
Secret button number 1. Oh,
Woo!
look at it, a fire hose in there.
Yep, it's pre-connected, so you can pull up if there was a car fire. You can pull right up to the front and start spraying right away.
Cool. Now, do all the trucks have this hidden thing in the front?
No, they don't. Each truck is different. So some have hoses connected in the front, some have the piercing nozzle attached right to the front so they can go right away with that hose. But no, each truck is different, so they don't all have hoses up here.
I think this is my favorite. I love the hidden compartment here.
Yeah, it's a great component to this truck.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, I thought you were going to close my head in there
Oh,
for
wow.
a second, because I was still going to look, but that's okay.
Okay.
Hey, Melissa, I want to thank you so much for helping me out today and showing me all about the different size hoses and what their uses are. So thanks a lot.
You're very welcome anytime.
Absolutely. And we'll see you next time, everyone, because I'm Spot the Fire Dog, because I like to spot and put out the fires. Ha! See you next time, everybody. Just for fun, close my head in
Okay.
it. Ah!
Thanks for joining us for another edition of On Call. If you have questions, comments, an idea for the program, or would like to send a question in to ask the firefighter, please call 952-985-4700 or use the email address on your screen. Thanks for joining us, and all fire units are clear.